Shadow Kyogre is making its Pokémon GO debut during the next Team Rocket Takeover event, Taken Treasures. The event will start on Saturday, January 27th at 12 a.m. and it will run to Thursday, February 1st at 11:59 p.m. But Giovanni will still have Shadow Kyogre even after the event ends. He should have them all the way until the next Team GO Rocket Takeover event. So that should give you a lot of time to hunt Giovanni and get the Shadow version of one of the best water type attackers in Pokemon GO. So let's take a look at the details and some tips for this event. Chapters in the description below for each section of the video. Now for the bonuses, we will get Team GO Rocket appearing more frequently at stops and in balloons. We will also be able to TM the charge move Frustration off of our Shadow Pokemon, which you will definitely want to do if you plan on using them. So don't miss this opportunity to do it. It probably won't come back for several months. For the research, we will see the final part of the season-long Timeless Travels research become available, and you will have to log in before March 1st, 2024 to claim it, or it will be gone. Once you have it, you can complete it whenever. So even if you can't play, you want to log in quickly before March 1st to make sure you get it, because that is how you're going to get your Super Rocket Radar for Giovanni this time. There will also be field research, which will reward mysterious components, charge TMs and fast TM, as well as encounters with event-themed Pokemon Pecans, Zubat, Coughing, Chaldean Wooper, Hisuian Quillfish, Poochyena, Sableye, Croagunk, Scraggy, Marini, Bruxish, and Nimble. And note that the ones that can be shiny here, as indicated by that little shiny symbol, will have boosted shiny rates in the field research encounters. Now I like this much better than having the boosted shiny rates in the eggs because it is much more accessible to everyone, and as long as you go out and grind, you can find more field research to try and get those encounters and those rewards. So hopefully those field research encounters will be plentiful. I will be live streaming this event on the first day, so on Saturday it's going to be a 5-hour celebration live stream because we hit 500 subscribers, so thank you to everyone for that. And if you want to see just how plentiful those research encounters are, come by the live stream, check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, let's move on. This event will have a paid timed research as well, which will be $5 USD, and the rewards for that will include Stardust, XP, 1 Incense, 1 Incubator, 3 Silver Pineapple Berries, and some more items, as well as encounters with event-themed Pokemon and an event-themed avatar pose, Pokeball Throw. Now these paid timed research that give you a pose are really about buying the pose. A pose is about $5 in the store, so if you're going to get the pose, you might as well do it through this research, and then you get the bonus items and encounters as well. If you don't want the pose, probably not worth it to buy this. And remember that because it is timed research, you do have to complete it and claim your rewards before the event ends. And then there's also going to be showcases for the event as well. There are not going to be any wild encounters for this event. However, the Team GO Rockets lineups will be changing. You can see on screen right now, these will be the new Shadow Pokemon that are entering the Rocket lineups. We don't know who will have what exactly, but we will see Shadow Corphish, Shadow Snorunt, Shadow Chimchar, Shadow Piplup, Shadow Croagunk, Shadow Dwebble, and Shadow Barrowseed coming in. And again, as I said, we don't know who is going to have what, but these are the new Pokemon that are making their Shadow debuts. There's also going to be 1- and 3-star raids for the event, both Shadow and regular. So in the Shadow 1-star raids, we are going to see Shadow Alolan Sandshrew, Murkrow, Pineco, and Croagunk. And then in the 3-star Shadow raids, we'll see Shadow Scyther, Skarmory, and Golett. And then in the regular 1-star raids, we are going to see Alolan Rattata, Alolan Meowth, Alolan Grimer, and Galarian Zigzagoon. And in the 3-star raids, we're going to see Weezing, Galarian Weezing, Tyranitar, and Bombardier. Varoom is also going to make its Pokemon GO debut in the 12-kilometer eggs, which are the eggs you get from defeating Rocket leaders. And then we will also be able to use 50 candies to evolve Varoom into its evolution Revavroom. So both of them making their Pokemon GO debut during this event. I know a lot of people are concerned that Varoom is coming out in the 12-kilometer eggs, as those will take quite a bit of time to hatch, but I do have a free-to-play tip that might help you stock up on 12-kilometer eggs and get a better chance at hatching Varoom. There's also going to be a special box in the in-game store that will go for 300 Pokecoins, and with that you are going to get 1 Incubator, 1 Rocket Radar, and 1 Premium Battle Pass. Now if you were to buy those items by themselves in the store, that would be about 430 to 450 Pokecoins, depending on whether you bought the Battle Passes in a pack or on their own. So you're saving about 130 to 150 coins. So you are getting a discount on these items, just not a super big one. And then there will also be a bundle in the web store that will cost $10 USD, so you can't buy this one with Pokecoins. You can only buy it with real money, which I'm not a super fan of. But with that, you will get 7 Rocket Radars, 7 Premium Battle Passes, 7 Ultra Balls, and 7 Silver Pineapple Berries. So if you're planning to hunt a lot of rockets and you spend real money on the game, this one might be worth it to you. All right, that's it for all the event details. Let's get into Meta-Relevancy, starting with Sableye. So Sableye will be in the research, which does have a Mega in the game, but like I mentioned for the last event, Sableye is better purified as you want want the charged move Return for PvP, which you get from Purifying Sableye. But the purified version is a good Great League Mon, and you can use this event to farm candies if you need them, or to get a good IV one for the Mega. All right, next up is Scraggy. Scraggy evolves into Scrafty, who is a beast in Great and Ultra League with that unique Fighting Dark typing. Just note that its max CP of 2581 means you do need Candy XL to power it up for the Ultra League. And then next up we have Croagunk. Croagunk evolves into Toxicroak. Toxicroak can be run in the Great League and even in the Ultra League thanks to its unique poison fighting typing. It's not very bulk, and because of the IV floor for raids and research, you won't be able to get good PvP IVs for Great and Ultra League. However, from the Team Rocket Grunts, you will be able to get those good IVs, so that will be your best way to hunt Croagunk. Next up we have Shadow Scyther in the raids, which evolves into Scizor. Now as a Shadow, Scizor ranks number 7 as a bug type raid attacker, but it does also have a Mega in the game, which is the number 3 bug type raid attacker and the number 6 steel type raid attacker. However, it's not often that a bug type raid attacker is needed in Pokemon Go. And note that the Shadow rankings on the screen right now are for Shadow Scizor, not Mega Shadow Scizor, because you can't Mega Shadow Pokemon. Now Scizor is also a good PvE mon for taking on Psychics in gyms and Rocket Grunts, and it's super spammy with that Furry Cutter and X Scissor moveset, meaning it can be extremely useful for taking on a lot of Rocket Grunts if you are new and need good attackers. And then we have Skarmory, which will also be in the raids, which is a good Great and Ultra League Pokemon. However, the Shadow does rank worse in both leagues, but still ranking in the top 50 as a Shadow. Because of the IV floor, you can't really get a good one for Great League, as you will likely purify it as well, and purifying adds 2 points to each IV stat. However, you can get a good one for Ultra League because of its low max CP. The Hundo is the best IVs for Ultra League. All right, now we're getting to the really good stuff. We are going to have Tyranitar in the raids as well, and it has a Mega in the game, and that Mega is the number 1 Rock type attacker, as well as the number 1 Dark type attacker. Now it does need that Legacy fast move Smackdown to have a full Rock type moveset, so you will need an Elite Fast TM to get it on one of these Tyranitars, but it doesn't need any Legacy moves for the best Dark type moveset, which is Bite and Brutal Swing. Now Tyranitar also ranks number 85 in the Master League with its Shadow ranking 81. However, ironically, you will not be able to get the Shadow variant during this event. And if you're all set for T-Tars, this can be a good way to get candies if you still need to power them all up. And then we're going to have Shadow Ho-Oh in the 5-star raids. It is not only going to be its first time in the 5-star Shadow raids, but it can also be shiny, and it is the number 5 Flying type raid attacker and the number 6 Fire type raid attacker. Now as a Fire type, you are going to want the Legacy charge move Sacred Fire, and it won't have that because it will have Frustration. So again, you will need an Elite TM to get that move, but it is also a good Master League Pokemon. Now the Shadow version ranks number 11 and the non-Shadow ranks number 6. And again, it does need that Legacy charge move Sacred Fire for PvP as well. And it can't have Sacred Fire from these raids, as it will have the charge move all Shadows do, which is Frustration, meaning you would need to use an Elite Charge TM to get that Legacy move. And then of course we have Shadow Kyogre with Giovanni making its Pokemon Go debut. Now Primal Kyogre is the number 1 Water type raid attacker. Shadow Kyogre is number 3 and regular Kyogre is number 6, meaning various forms of Kyogre take half of the top 6 Water type raid attacker spots. However, it won't have its signature move Origin Pulse, as again it will have Frustration, so you would need to use an Elite Charge TM on this one as well. However, Shadow Kyogre will still rank as the number 4 Water type attacker with Surf instead of Origin Pulse if you don't want to use an Elite Charge TM. And yes, that means Shadow Kyogre with Surf instead of Origin Pulse ranks higher than regular Kyogre with the signature move Origin Pulse, and that is the power of the Shadow attack boost. It really does a lot to boost up that damage they can do. Now regular Kyogre ranks number 30 in the Master League, and the Shadow ranks worse at number 34, and you would want the Legacy move Origin Pulse on it anyways, so this is a Shadow you can probably skip getting for the Master League. Now Shadow Kyogre is going to be a beast of a Water type attacker. However, those are not the most useful in Pokemon Go, meaning there's not a lot of times you're going to use it. There are certain raid bosses where it will be useful, so what that means is you'll definitely want to use your Super Rocket Radar from the Timeless Travels to try and get one, but if you've got a few stacked up in your special research, you might want to save those for something else. I do think us getting Shadow Kyogre means that Shadow Groudon and potentially Shadow Rayquaza might be coming in the future, which both of those would definitely be more useful and a better use of your stacked Super Rocket Radars. And right now it can't be shiny as a Shadow either. My guess would be when it makes its debut in the Shadow raids, that's when they will release shiny Shadow Kyogre, so it might be better to wait until then to hunt it. However, If you really love Kyogre, you might want to go hard for this one. Up to you, of course. Now, in terms of the new Shadow Pokemon in the Rocket lineup that are going to be good, we have Snorunt, which can evolve into Glalie if it's male, and Glalie is a decent Ice-type raid attacker, so the Shadow version would also probably be decent, but the extra Stardust cost for powering up Shadow Pokemon might mean this one is not worth it. However, if it's a female, it can also evolve into Frostlass, and Frostlass just cracks the top 100 in Great League on PvPoke in the non-Shadow variant, and I think the Shadow variant might end up ranking higher. However, I can't really say for sure. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. And then we have Dwebble, which evolves into Crustle, and Crustle does have some play in limited cups, so the Shadow version might have some play there as well. All right, let's give a shout out to a few other Pokemon. The first one is the Shadow Alolan Sandshrew, which evolves into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Man, that is a mouthful. Okay, Shadow Alolan Sandslash is good in the Great and Ultra League. However, you won't be able to get those really good PvP IVs because the Shadow Raids have an IV floor of 666. So this one might be one that's better to wait until it is in the Grunts and hunt it there. And then we also have Paldean Wooper in the Field Research, which evolves into Clodsire. Now, Clodsire is a good Great League Pokemon. However, again, because it's in Field Research, which has an IV floor of 10, 10, 10, you won't be able to get the good PvP IVs that you need. And then in the 1-star raids, we will have Galarian Zigzagoon, which evolves into Obstagoon. Now, Obstagoon is a pretty good anti-meta Pokemon in PvP, which means it can take on a lot of the meta, especially those teams that are built around Ghost-type cores, because it takes 24.4% damage from Ghost types. However, other than that, Scrafty can usually fulfill the same role and do a better job of it than Obstagoon. All right, that's it for the meta relevancy. Let's take a look at some tips and counters now, starting with our counters for Shadow Kyogre. Now, Mega Rayquaza is pretty much always a good counter for anything because that Dragon Ascent move is just so nuky. However, if we're looking at Shadow Kyogre, it is a pure water type, which means your grass and your electric types are going to do the best. So throw in your best Pokemon of that type that have those grass or electric moves. And some top options include Mega Sceptile, Kartana, Zekrom, Mega Venusaur, Shadow and regular Raikou, Zarude, Circuitry, Mega Manectric, Shadow Magnezone, Shaman Sky or Land Form, Thunderous Therian Form, Tapu Bulu, and Chestnut. And again, if you don't have any of those, just go with your Pokemon that have the highest CP that have either grass or electric type moves. All right, now let's take a look at some Shadow Ho-Oh counters, which has a fire flying typing, takes 256% damage from rock and 160% damage from electric and water. Definitely go with your best rock attackers and then fill out the rest of your team with your water and electric type counters if you still need to. And that means some of your top counter options for Shadow Ho-Oh are going to be Mega, Shadow, or regular Tyranitar with the rock moveset, Mega Diancie if you have one, Mega Aerodactyl with the rock moveset, Shadow and regular Rhyperior, Shadow and regular Rampardos, Tyrantrum, Terrakion, and Primal Kyogre. Now, in terms of the best Mega and Primal to use for this event, there's a lot of diverse typings out here, so there isn't really one best Mega or Primal, but I will say when you are going to fight Giovanni, make sure you have something that will get you more of those Kyogre candies because they are very rare. Now, Kyogre is a pure water typing, so you're going to want to go with something like Mega Blastoise, Mega Slowbro, Primal Kyogre, Mega Gyarados, or Mega Swampert. And remember to use whichever Mega you have of these that is the highest Mega level, because that will get you the most amount of candies and the highest chance at Candy XL. All right, let's look at some tips. My first one here is a tip about how to get Hundos and Shundos. Now, because there are going to be some good Pokemon in the field research as well as in the raids, you'll definitely want to hunt any that you want Hundos or Shundos for in that way because they have a higher IV floor. So in the wild, a Pokemon can have anywhere from 0 to 15 for any one of its stats. However, when you get it from field research or from a raid, its IV floor is 10, 10, 10 in each stat, meaning each stat cannot be lower than 10. That means you have a much better chance of getting a Hundo that way, and if it can be shiny, then you also have a better chance of getting a Shundo. Now, the exception to that is the Shadow Raids. The Shadow Raids have an IV floor of 666, so not quite as good a chance at getting a Shundo or a Hundo. However, it's still a better chance than in the wild. And then the Shadow variants can also be purified, which will add 2 IV points to each stat. So if it's 13, 13, 13, it will become a Hundo. However, Shadow variants are usually more useful in their Shadow form because they are stronger. And I mean, they are a lot stronger. So if you take one Shadow Pokemon and it has 0 attack, and then you take the same Pokemon in non-Shadow form with 15 attack, the Shadow variant is still going to do more damage. So you might want to think hard about which ones you want to purify and which ones you don't. Now I've got a free-to-play tip for you to get Varoom from those 12-kilometer eggs. What you're going to want to do is start off by incubating an egg that's down there in the overflow section of your eggs. So if you don't know, that little bottom section that's separate, that's where your 12-kilometer and Adventure Sync eggs go. No other eggs that you get from gifts or Pokestops can go there, just those ones. So hatch at least one of these or all three if you can manage to do that before the start of the event. And then do not fight any rocket leaders until the event starts, because you will get another 12-kilometer egg that will go into that spot. Then once you've cleared out as many of the overflow eggs as you can, put an egg in an incubator from the regular spot and try to have that ready to hatch right before the event starts. Then when you go out to play the event, as you're walking around and defeating grunts to get those rocket radars, you will hatch the egg. Once you hatch that egg, do not spin any stops, any gyms, or open any gifts, because that will get you another egg that fills up the spot. Go immediately to a rocket leader, defeat that rocket leader, get a 12-kilometer egg. Then you're going to incubate another egg from that regular incubator spot, not the 12-kilometer one you just got, because as you're walking around and fighting more grunts, you will hopefully hatch that next egg, and then you will get another rocket radar, and you'll have another empty egg spot. You'll go fight another leader and get another 12-kilometer egg. And you repeat this process of hatching eggs, fighting grunts, and then fighting rocket leaders to get the egg, filling up all your egg spots while the event is going on. Don't worry about hatching those 12-kilometer eggs until you've got a full set of them. Once you've got a full set, if you're still playing the event for the rest of the days, by all means hatch those ones and repeat this process of filling it up by defeating rocket leaders. Now, I don't know if Varoom will stay in the 12-kilometer eggs once the event is done, so that's why I'm suggesting you stock up on all these 12-kilometer eggs while you're out walking around fighting the grunts and the rocket leaders. That way, if it doesn't stick around, you're all set. You've got a whole bunch of 12-kilometer eggs that you can slowly work your way through and hatch. All right, there's also going to be showcases. So some showcase tips for you are: 1, the sniping method. This is my least favorite method, but it is where you put in low-ranking Pokemon at first, and then right before the end of the showcase, you go in and swap them out for higher-ranking Pokemon. The problem with this is you run the risk of forgetting to do that, and then just always ranking bad in showcases. The method that I prefer to do is to go to less competitive showcases. So these are ones that are not as close to other stops, other gyms, transit hubs, or major attractions. Now, generally showcases in areas like this will have less trainers in them, which means they're less competitive, which gives you a better chance at winning the showcase. And you'll just slowly get wins and work on that showcase medal. Now, speaking of medals, there are a few other medals that you can work on for this event. One of them is the Hero Medal, which requires you to defeat 2,000 Rocket members. So that includes grunts and leaders. And then you can also work on your Purifier Medal, which requires you to purify 1,000 Shadow Pokemon to get Platinum. Now, the best way to work on that for these events is purify any of the Shadow Pokemon that cost only 1 candy and 1,000 Stardust to purify. That's as cheap as they get. So whenever you get those ones, even if you're not going to keep them, purify them and then transfer them. All right, everybody, consider hitting the like button if you found this video useful, and subscribing for more Pokemon Go news, tips, and live streams. If you want more Pokemon Go content right now, check out one of the videos on screen. Happy hunting, and we'll see you in the next one, friends.
I've got something incredibly funky.